Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside,
absolutely possible season.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakely will dive to the inside.
We'll go bust. We got our elbows out.
Ronard takes the lead.
Yes, here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
Hello, good evening and a warm welcome to you. Welcome back to PSGL. You've just tuned in to F3 and we've now arrived at the next round in the season, which was supposed to be Bahrain, but unfortunately due to a glitch at a certain curb on the track, they have changed it to Qatar. So we're still in the Middle East. However, we swapped around to a very different type of beast. And speaking of different, once again, I'm with a different person this week and as you can see on the screen, I'm Rob/Frostbreath, and I'm being joined tonight by Alex. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. It's great to be back. And Qatar, it's a new one for me on the game. And yeah, like you said earlier, to me, we're expecting one stop. But yeah, fast flowing circuit. And let's see what happens out there. I think main overtaking obviously is going to be down to turn one with the DRS. But yeah, the championship is exactly tied at the top on 44 points. So that should be exciting. So yeah, we've got a lot of things going on in the championship heading into the race now. But yeah, Doha, what a circuit. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Just taking you back, though, in the history of this season so far. Last week in Hungary, which I think is one of the most unusual races I've ever commentated on, because it was kind of on the verge of dries and inters all race long since the second stint onwards, causing many drivers to be confused which tire was the right one. And it turned out that by the very end of the race, the hard tire turned out to be the good one. If you had gone for a one-stop, then you would be the race winner, and that was Victor Whittler. After having scored no points all season, he came out victorious with Tom Roberts getting very close and within DRS range of the final few laps until the dry tires turned back on again, causing Tom Roberts to fall back. No post-race penalties means that the unofficial race results are also the official race results. Now, as you can see, having turned Victor Whittler's victory permanent, and that means he's moved up in the standings by quite a lot. You can see it right here. He's moved up to P13 in the standings from pretty much nowhere, so to say. So that is great news for him. At the top of the table, though, it still remains quite as it was, because neither of the top two have scored any points. Kamil Stakura didn't even start last week, so he's slightly lucky that he's still hanging around in P3. Tom Roberts has closed the gap to within 10 points of the top two. So, Alex, I think it's safe to say that at this point of the season, it's very close indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. And heading to a track like Qatar, you never know what's going to happen. So yes, interesting fights all round in the championship, surprise winners, and more action coming up very, very soon. But expectations coming to Qatar, what's yours?
Difficult to say, because it's a technical track like Hungary, but there's even less opportunities to overtake. The strategy is different. Like you said, it's definitely going to be a one-stop, unlike Hungary, where it was a mix between 1 and 2 stops. The main difference in between the strategy is going to be whether the drivers can keep their tires alive until the very first round of pit stops are going to be made. We all know that usually drivers start on the medium tires and then swap to the hards, but I've seen the opposite strategy actually work quite well too. So that could be another interesting thing to throw in the mix to see what they can do from the hards to the mediums. So yeah, let's see if they can make that thing work. And of course, Gregory and Isaac will want to score some points again. So they will try and put their foot down on the pedal to the metal.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, strategy is one thing that's a bit more of a question on this game. On the last game, it was a solid one stop all the way through. But on this game, you've got a bit of uncertainty whether you want to start on the mediums or the hards. And it throws into the mix when we've got much higher tyre wear. So yeah, let's see what happens in Qatar today. And let's see who come out on top as we are getting to the lobby in a few moments' time for qualifying here in Doha.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm quite surprised. This is one of the tracks that's actually a one-stop. I mean, it's got quite a lot of fast corners. Tire wear is high. It was high last year, and it's even worse, so to say, this year. So I was a little bit surprised to find out you only need to stop once here. And I've even seen some drivers bring the balanced tire allocation to the track instead of the harder option, which is chosen very often nowadays. So yeah, let's see what they choose here.
Absolutely. As we head to qualifying down to the pit lane, as we've got a solid 17 minutes of action out on the track. Let's go. Who's got the pace? Who can show it early doors? Let's get that banker lap in, and let's make it close, guys, and let's make a great starting grid for the race. Let's go. 18 drivers with us today, 17 minutes and 30 seconds of qualifying action. Who is it going to be on the front row? Who's it going to be on pole? We'll find out in approximately 17 minutes.
Yes, indeed. And in case you're wondering, is that path racing on, Frost? Yes, it is. Path racing in Qatar is absolutely brilliant. It's very, very nice to look at in nighttime races, and it somehow works without completely melting my PC with OBS on at the same time. So while it didn't work a few weeks ago, somehow it now does. Maybe it was because of a patch or a driver update for the NVIDIA cards. So yeah, it's going to be a very pretty one indeed. Out first on track, Tudor Pressacan in the McLaren. Let's see what he can do this week around. Last week he was somewhere around the midfield, so to say, trying to make things work, just like everybody else with the extraordinarily tricky conditions. Tricky conditions, though, you will not see around in Qatar, because rain is a very rare thing indeed around these parts of the world. He's closely followed, by the way, by a very enthusiastic V-carb. That's Zalan Bieder. Out there, he's now leaving himself a little bit of space, causing a bit of a pile-up right behind him. 2 other cars, as everybody tries to find a gap here and there. But Tudor certainly will not be having difficulties with that, as he's out first. And Alex, I'll let you do the honors on showing something about the first hot lap of the night.
Yes, let's go then with Tudor Pressacan. And it's good to see on the left as well. You've got all the names on there without being cut off, and that must be included in the update. But here we go across the line for a first lap of the track here in Doha, as we fly onto the curbs as left as possibly can, past the 50-meter boards and down to around 4th gear, and back on the power once again on the curb as we go just drop down a few gears, then back on the power as we head flat round here, as we head now to turn number 4 and turn number 5, 2 pretty 90-degree corners, as flat through turn number 5 and heavy into turn number 6 at the slight hairpin, down to 2nd gear and back on the power very nicely for Tudor as we head past 50-meter board once again on the left hand side, down to 4th gear and back on the power. Pick it up as soon as you can, as it's flat around turn number 8, flat around turn number 9, and a slight lip brake at turn number 10, and picked up on the throttle very nicely in a relatively clean lap for a bank lap here from Tudor Pressacan, as we head once again flat out through the final section, as all the way through turn 12, turn 13 and turn 14, pinned very nicely on the throttle, and yeah, full flat out final sector, apart from this corner here at turn number 16, as we have to brake and pick up the throttle once again as we head towards the line, as we've got the dash line. Most overtakes being made here. DRS cross the line does a 20.220, and Zalan puts it right behind, only by 5 thousandths, and Boober picks up at the exact same time, and Ryan Modler beats it with 120.1.
Very nice to see at the start of the session, immediately 2 different drivers posting the exact same lap time. Zalan Bieder 5 milliseconds behind. Now Wojtek Steg 3 milliseconds behind, as Ryan Modler is now the fastest overall. He's almost a 10th quicker than Pressacan was on his first outing. Many more drivers now across the line, including newcomer Lucas Serra here on F3, as he posts the 6th fastest time for the time being, as he's being overtaken by Andrew Mingus. He now goes 6th fastest with a 20.4. Next across the line, Daniel Keijer, one of the Dutches in here, as he goes across the line. He goes 6th fastest, just ahead of Andrew Mingus and behind his teammate and Isaac Lead, the shared championship leader, so to say. The first driver already on a banker lap with a 1 minute 19, a 19.991 to be precise, as the 2 Haas drivers are next across the line, one of them having invalidated the lap, the other one Victor Whittler, last week's race winner, with a 20.1 in P3 for now. Next then up, Tom Roberts, who tried to chase down Victor Whittler last week on the intermediate tires. What can he do? do on this week's track here in Qatar. As he is about to cross the line right here, he goes 4th fastest, 3 milliseconds behind Victor Whittler. They're close once again, and this time Tom Roberts has to give in to Whittler for the time being, just by the tiniest of margins though. Then the other shared championship leader, Gregory Protzibel, as you can see him right here, still on his way. He just finished the 2nd sector. According to the game, it's purple as he heads into a massively yellow flagged sector, I should say, with a lot of drivers slowing down to let him through. He's won 2 races so far this season. It's just as much as Isaac Leeds has, but Isaac Leeds got a 2nd place along it as well with Gregory Protzibel. I believe he actually gone 5th fastest with the exact same lap time. That's now 4 drivers with the exact same lap times on different places. He's gone 5th fastest because Tom Roberts has already posted it before him.
Absolutely, and it is a track that it will be so tight. You need to nail every single corner, and any millisecond you've left out on the track could cost you not just 1 position but 5, as we're seeing so far. Look at everyone in the 28.22s from P7 to P10. I mean, that is just so close, but yeah, at a track it ounces a perfect lap, and Isaac Lee, that is fantastic. Getting into the 19s on a banker lap, that is exactly what he needed, and he's about a 10th clear at the top so far. So yeah, 11 minutes to go, banker laps done, and the first 15 drivers to set their lap times have done, and all in the 20.1s to 20.8s down from P3. Then the front row is currently Isaac Lee and Camille Statura at P2 at the moment with a 20.097. He's going to look to get into the 19s on his next lap, but still a long way to go in qualifying. We've got Campbell Adams and Cloud on their first lap of qualifying so far, and let's see what they can do to try and challenge the top 10.
Yeah, they wanted to wait a little bit, staying in the pit lane a little bit longer than everybody else to just go a little bit offset, so to say, and have as little traffic as possible. And Campbell is definitely benefiting from it, as is Cloud. They are right behind one another on track at the moment. Cloud currently in the middle of the 2nd sector. Campbell Adams in the middle of the 2nd sector. Cloud just having finished the first one, as Campbell Adams is about to encounter a McLaren. That is Tudor Presican once again. He was first out in the first run, first out in the second run as well. But we're watching the Alpine of Campbell Adams going through the sectors nice and easy. So far, though, I'm surprised that only so few drivers have gotten a track limit invalidation, because this track is quite notorious for it, I have to say, and we will not be surprised to see quite a lot of track limit penalties come a race day. But across the line, Campbell Adams now goes 7th fastest for the time being. It is not even 2/10s behind pole position, and it's only good enough for P7. Let's see if Cloud can do something about that, as he's about to cross the line as well. Now sitting in 17th, only ahead of Stephen Vaso, and now it is P15 at 20.5. Feel like he can do a little bit better than that. It's 15th fastest for the time being, only ahead of Lucas Serra and Philippe Sousa, who is currently sitting in 17th with a 20.8.
Absolutely. Presican is just heading through that first sector at the moment and flying through turn number 5 into turn number 6. He has gone purple in that first sector, nearly improving by just under a 10th of a second, and that could be huge, and that could actually be the front row if he tries to ease any more lap time out of this in the final and middle sector as well. This could be a challenge for pole position if he just nails it, as we now heading through the middle sector and now into the final sector, where it's mostly flat out through turn 12, 13, 14 and 15, and with a slight break at turn 16, the final corner. But a 10th and a bit improvement. This could be a really good lap time for Tudor Presican, as is the only time in the final sector. It's a very easy sector to nail, and you just got to get your line right, pin it on the throttle as we head now through the final corner. Takes the curb on the inside, takes the curb on the outside as we head as far left as we possibly can. Across the line we go, and Tudor Presican puts it into 20.0s just behind Stakura and into P3.
Yeah, and Boba, who had the exact same lap time, unfortunately invalidated on his run. His second run is not valid, therefore heading straight back into the pit lane. Behind him, Wojtek Steg has also invalidated his lap. It looks like now that the pressure is coming on and they're pushing hard, the track limits become more and more of an issue. So back in the pit lane, Wojtek Steg goes as well. So we're waiting for somebody else to cross the line. I think it's the other Red Bull of Aaron Ramingas. Yes, it is. He's 14th fastest now. as he's headed towards turn number 1. I believe he's just either finished or started his hot lap. Actually improved to P12. That took a little bit to update on my screen for some reason. He's improved, therefore, by about 0.2 of a second. So, next up to a hot lap is, I believe, Daniel Kuijer. Yes, it is, alongside Tom Roberts, the man in P5. Let's follow him around for a little while as he goes through turns 1 and 2. Let's see how much harder he's going to push. Currently sitting on the exact same lap time as Gregory Prudsiebel. He, though, was a little bit earlier, 3 milliseconds behind Victor Widler. As you can see there, Steven Vaso from all the way down to the bottom of the table, up to nearly at the top, with a 20.001, Alex, 1/100th behind our pole sitter.
It is so close. It is really, really close here in Qatar. I mean, just look at the time. It's a 19.991 on provisional pole of Isaac Leet. And at the moment, the slowest time is a 20.8, but we know it's improved. And let's go to Daniel Kuijer, who's down in P15 on a 20.3. I mean, it is ridiculously close out there on the track. Ryan Modler is just heading through the middle sector. Now, got a few more drivers out on their laps. And, wow, I wonder what a pole time is going to be. I wonder how close it's going to be for pole position today. Is it going to be Isaac Lee, or is it going to be anybody else out there, as Ryan Modler is improving by a 10th in that middle sector too, and hence the final now? He's close. It is so, so close. And I'm sure the race will be one long DRS train. And I'm excited to see what happens in that as Tom Roberts, I think, just put out to P3 there.
Yeah, exactly. 4 milliseconds now behind Steven Vaso. That's how tight it is. Absolutely insane. And there we go. Ryan Modler even faster than Isaac Leet. But I believe Isaac is on his way as well. He's currently has arrived in the last sector 38 milliseconds faster than his previous lap time, meaning he's definitely going to be faster than Ryan Modler, unless he bottles it in the final corner. Does he, though? Looks like he's going to be absolutely fine, just barely staying within the white lines. Victor Widler going even faster, 19.8. Isaac Lee, though, has lost time in the final sector, stays third fastest. And crucially, the race winner from last week is once again back in business after a horrifying first half of the season. He's starting to climb all the way up there, and he's improving race after race, lap after lap, and once again, for the time being, the fastest man overall. Kamil Stakura, I believe, is not on a hot lap at the moment. He sits in P6, 2 milliseconds behind Tom Roberts. That's what he has improved to at the moment. Campbell Adams, he was offset to the rest, I believe, is on a hot lap. Yes, he is improving, not improving actually. He's half a tenth slower in Sector 1, and it's quite busy out there on track.
It absolutely is, and what a lap from Victor Widler. Puts it at the top of the times in the 0.8s, and a 10th clear out the top. That could be huge heading into the final runs in qualifying. But yeah, there's a lot of drivers out there a minute. Cloud's heading through the middle sector. He's improved by just over 0.2 in the first sector alone, so looking to chase the top 15 really in the 0.2s. But apart from that, everyone's improving on these second runs into the 0.1s or the 0.0s. Tom Roberts, Camille, and Valentino Labella, then Tudor Presscan, all in the zeros as well. And it's just so close up there. I've never seen the like of it being this close in qualifying at a track like Qatar. It is very understandable. But at the moment, the front row, Victor Widler and Ryan Modler, is going to stay like that as we head into the final runs of qualifying. And everyone is coming to the pit lane now, but we've still got a few drivers out there on their lap times, like Campbell Adams in the first sector at the moment. I think he's just finished his lap, sorry. Yep. As Tudor Presscan also charging. I think he's charging the match. Is he going again? I think he's going again.
I believe he's actually just started his hot lap. It's a little bit of a mixed bag at the moment. Tudor Presscan is, I think, indeed, yeah, he is on a hot lap at the moment, going through turns 5 and 6, improving by 6 whole milliseconds in the first sector. That is how much they've pushed already, I have to say. Very close indeed. Philippe Sousa at the moment sitting in P17. He would love an improvement. He's already improved from his 20.8. A 20.4 is what he can currently manage. With 4 minutes remaining, it's going to be quite tight on whether he can make it back in time. He's only in the first sector to head back into the pit lane. He's going to have to hurry up to make sure he can make a final run out here as time starts to run out. Many drivers waiting in the pit lane for the perfect moment to get out there and try for one last time. Tudor Presscan, though, is about to finish his final run. He's 1.5 tenths slower. I think he's backed out. He's still got plenty of time to try again. He's actually going back in to put on a fresh set of tires. I think that's a wise plan to do, because tires, of course, here, especially the softs, lost a very, very short time indeed. So then, the big waiting has begun. Who's going to come out first and who is going to claim pole position? Is it going to be Victor Whittler? Is it going to be one of the championship leaders? Or is it going to be somebody else?
Who knows? Who knows? Has anyone got that bit of time they can unlock in the final run? Isaac Lee, we saw him lose time at the final corner on his latest run, and yeah, just ran a bit deep. So see if he can gain that time back and put pressure on the likes of Ryan Modler and Victor Whittler to perform even better than they already are in the 19.9s and the 19.8s at the top. But here we go. Drivers just starting to come out. 2 minutes 50 to go. What's going to happen in these final runs? Who's going to grab pole position? All questions that are going to be answered in a few moments' time, as we have a VCAB of Zalan Bida out there on the track as well, just coming out the pit lane, followed by Kick Sauber of Ryan Modler, Isaac Lee also out there on the track, and so is debutant Lucas Serra, who is at the bottom at the moment, but let's see if he can try and improve on that 20.5 to try and get in the mix with the top guys.
Yeah, just over 6/10 slower than provisional pole sitter Victor Whittler is Lucas Serra right there. He's eager to make a good impression, as many debutants will, of course, try on their first outing in a certain tier. He's been moved here in F3, and he's certainly going to be delighted to have a chance at showing what he's capable of. He's already part of the TF10 team, as you can see right there, his tag at the front of his name. But we're going to have to swap our attention now to Isaac Lead, the lead car of the guys on the final run on their outlaps at the moment. He's about to start it, and soon we'll know if he's capable of taking pole position from Victor Whittler and if he can keep it from everybody else. We're watching Gregory Prutsibil soon as well. He's, as we all know, sitting on the same amount of points. He's only P11, struggling a little bit, but struggling is a big word, with a 20.1 being about 2.5 tenths slower than pole position, as Isaac Lead has now started his lap. He's on his way to turn 1, and then sooner or later we'll know if he's going to be the fastest or not.
Yes, here we go then. Final lap for one of the championship leaders as Isaac Lee heads his way through turn number 3 and heading to turn number 4 flat out, as just a slight lift, of course, and down to 6th gear and back on the power as we head to turn number 6 at the hairpin. Has improved in the first sector by 24 milliseconds, and that could be a huge improvement to even get him on the front row. But let's see if we can unlock that time in the middle and the final sector to try and beat Victor Whittler, as he won last race. Can he win again today? He's currently on provisional pole. He's looking to perform in the second half of the season, but Isaac Lee, can he deny him as we head into the final sector? He's improving by just under a tenth a second. This could be huge now, and needs to gain a bit of time at the final corner, really, as that's the main place to gain in this final sector, as he cuts the curbs nicely, keeps it pinned on the throttle as we head past the 50-meter board and get it rotated. Here we go with Isaac Lee. Can he beat Victor Whittler? Can he gain provisional pole in these final runs? He cannot. He moves onto the front row, but it's not enough to beat Victor Whittler. Now, who else can try and attempt, as Ryan Modler has invalidated his lap time, so he won't be going for pole position, and he will have to hope no one behind improves.
Lucas Serra then, the next across the line as Zalan Bida improves to P8. Lucas Serra stays in last position. That's going to be his starting position then. Camille Stakura next across the line, never mind, goes back into the pit lane. One of the Haas is up next, that is Steven Vaso, a potential contender for pole position as well. He can't do it either. 19.964. Then up next, Daniel Collier improves to P13. Both Red Bulls coming up next to the line. Both of them are about to cross it, and it looks like Romingus P10. Boa stays, or no, moves up all the way to P5. But still, nobody has beaten Victor Whittler yet, and it looks like it's going to be close. Victor Whittler himself crosses the line, goes 1 millisecond slower than his previous attempt, and time is running out for everybody else to improve. Campbell Adams, perhaps? No, it's only P5 and a 19.989. It's the Mercedes Gregory Prutsibil, only up to P9, far away from his title contenders. That is going to be a nightmare position to start from, and he might want to benefit from an undercut through the Pressican up to P4, and that means, unless Philippe does something miraculous, and he doesn't because he stays in 17th, it means that Victor Whittler on his second run has managed to do it already. Pole position for last week's race winner with an extraordinary lap.
Absolutely perfect, and that is a fantastic lap. A 19.8, the only driver out there in the 0.8s, and what a way to reintroduce yourself in the second half of the season. He won last week in Hungary. Can he win again today? But he's got pole position, and yeah, let's see what he can do in the race as everyone returns to pit lane as we get ready for some racing action here in Qatar. And can Victor Widler come out on top again? I mean, we'll have to wait and see for that one, but it is very close throughout the whole grid. I wonder what the race is going to be like. Engines overheating in that DRS train, but here we go. Qualifying is now done. It's Victor Widler on pole position, and he'll be alongside Isaac Leet when those lights do go out. Steven Vasso behind in the second row alongside Tudor Presican, then Ryan Modler and Campbell Adams line up the third row. Then it's Boba and Wojtek Steg, then Tom Roberts and Camille Statura line out the final positions in that top 10. As what a qualifying, and it was so close.
Yeah, Gregory now having been moved out to P11 after the final few fellas finished their hot laps, so that is going to be even worse for him. He's so far behind the rest, it's going to be challenging to score some points. The only upside for him is that the point scoring system in PSGL is a little bit more mild, so to say, with the first place only quote-unquote scoring 16 points instead of 25, so the gap increases and decreases aren't as big as real life. I'm watching the Discord now as well, Alex, and I can see there Aaron Dominguez complaining about his lap time being 3/10 of his personal best, and that is huge on a track like this, so he's definitely unhappy. Same goes for Campbell Adams. He's suffering from screen freezes apparently, so let's hope those will be fixed when the race does get underway. So yeah, there's some issues here and there, but I think definitely those in the top two will be very satisfied. Now, strategy talk. Alex, I think it's safe to say that most of the drivers, if not all of them, will start on the mediums.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the common denominator for most tracks on this game. You have a few uncertain ones out there, but yeah, medium hards is normally the way to go. And yeah, I'm sure we'll see it once again, unless someone goes for a punt at the back. But yeah, apart from that, it should be a medium hard today here in Qatar. But yeah, we'll have to find out when we see them all on the grid. And yeah, no surprises if it is medium hard, but anyone could maybe try hard medium and try and make it work. But a track where it is, I mean, it looks so easy. They're making it look easy, and I'm sure it's not to get them sort of lap times. But yeah, I think track limits might be an issue if you do overstep it too many times in the DRS train, in that dirty air as well. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yep, absolutely. We're just waiting for the drivers to pick their tires, make sure their fuel levels are okay, maybe adjust the front wing a little bit here and there, although I doubt it. High downforce setups are, of course, the way to go on a track like this. Trust in me when I say that the first stint potentially, most likely, is going to be a big, long DRS train all the way down to the first pit stops. And after that, it might become very, very interesting indeed. One stop, as we said, is the most likely option. Unless, of course, a safety car throws some things in the works. But we're about to get going as the lights are going on right now. 3, 4, and 5 red lights. And the next round in this championship is officially underway with Victor Widler coming quite well off the line. Isaac Leet is going to try and attack him into turn 1. We're waiting for the camera swap. There it is. But it looks like Victor Widler has got everybody covered with Tudor Presican challenging Steven Vaso for P3, and in the background that is Campbell Adams already losing it all with a coming together with another car. I couldn't see who it was, it happened too far down the camera screen, but he's already been moved down all the way to last position. That's a nightmare start there for Campbell right there, as Tudor Presican still is challenging Steven Vaso through the corners. They still go side by side. Steven Vaso has to go wide and yields to the McLaren. Is he going to try again around the outside? He certainly was having a thought about it, as in the background Boba is trying to attack both Ferraris at the same time, as Tom Roberts is now in P7, swapping quickly to see what the position swaps already are, with Wojtek Steg and Tom Roberts, both Ferraris having made up 2 positions each. Boba now having lost 1 position against one of the Ferraris for sure. Oh, in the background, another incident with another Alpine, with Valentino Labella now moving down the field. We saw him there going off the track a little bit into the gravel for a moment, as he nearly lost control of the car. So now both Alpines at the back of the field. Philippe Sousa having moved out to P16. Lucas Serra with an amazing start right there, already up to P12. He'll be absolutely delighted with his race start on his debut, as Tudor Presican, as you can see right there, in the podium places at the moment, giving chase to the top 2, who have remained unchanged.
Here we go then, another tour around the circuit. A perfect start out front at the moment by about 7.5 tenths. But let's see if anybody else can try and make a move on the route down to turn one. Everyone in the queue as we head to the first corner. But Victor Widler heading through nicely. We've seen some amazing battles on that first lap there. Few getting pushed wide through that middle sector as it gets a little bit tighter through the corners. But yeah, at the moment, Victor Widler, then it's Isaac Lee and Tudor Presican out there in our top three. And he made that move on Stephen Vasso, battling with the Haas and the kick salvo of Ryan Modler as well on that first lap of action. But here we go then. Let's get settled in for 29 laps of racing action here in the Middle East. Obviously it was meant to be Bahrain, but we are here now in Qatar because that bump is still an issue in Bahrain. Stephen Vasso is struggling to keep in the DRS of the car ahead. Now, putting under pressure is Ryan Modler right on the rear. Stephen Vasso is, I think, he's disconnected from the session. I think, he's really struggling here. He must have some sort of issue out there. He's also going through, Stephen Vasso losing all positions, and that'll be a race-deciding moment right there.
Yeah. We saw it happen on the mini-map. Suddenly a huge gap was creating, and it's the story of Stephen Vasso's life at the moment. I mean, I'm watching 2 leagues with him, and in every single one of them, he's having issues, and it looks like, once again, he's in big trouble. Everybody's literally bumping into him, with Lucas Serra being very unhappy indeed. I'm not sure if he's an AI or not. Usually AI do ghost, but it looks like if he is an AI, it's not happening at all. Now Stephen Vasso, for the moment, I think is back on the offensive. He's at least defending against Lucas Serra, and I think it's safe to say he is indeed an AI, because everybody's just passing him left, right, and center, or just bumping into his rear because they get caught by surprise by a sudden lack of pace. Look at that, for example, there. Philippe Sousa has actually lost a position thanks to that. It's absolute chaos at the back of the field due to the slow-going Haas. Valentino Labella now up next. He nearly had lost connections. As I can see there in the chat, ghosting is off. That is even worse than for these drivers, with Stephen Vasso's AI not ghosting whatsoever. In serious trouble right there for the other drivers too. Thankfully for Ryan Modler, though, he's managed to close the gap to the top 3, as for a moment they had lost it due to Vasso's disconnection. And that means for the time being they're quite safe to still fight for the podium. But that for a moment was looking a little bit worrying for everybody else. Let's hope Stephen will come back soon.
Yeah, absolutely. That caused a bit of chaos there. Ryan Modler did temporarily lose that DRS, and it was about 1.8 seconds heading on to lap number 3, but he's got back under that second, so we'll have DRS as we head on another tour of this circuit. But at the moment, Victor Widler leading comfortably out front in the Haas, followed by Isaac Lee. And then it is Tudor Presican still in that top 3. And Ryan Modler does set the fastest lap of the race after chasing the front 3 and getting back in the DRS. Nailed it to get back in as we head on to lap number 4. But yes, good that Stephen Vasso is back in and not causing much chaos as we head around Qatar once again. But yeah, at the moment, just putting pressure on Campbell Adams and looking to make up a few plays, I'm sure of that. But it must be frustrating now for Vasso. Now struck down to P17, and yeah, that could be raced over for fighting for points. He's going to have to do something extraordinary to fight through the pack here at a track that's so difficult to overtake due to the fast flowing corners. And let's see what he can do.
Yeah, it's going to be a while until these guys are all going to pit for their tire. New and fresh tires. I already showed you the tire they had chosen at the start of the race. 3 drivers have opted for the hard tires. They'll be struggling a little bit until the mediums will start to fall off a lot as we arrive at the tail end of the first stint. So Gregory, Philippe, and Valentino, for the time being, will have a little bit of trouble. And it's bad news for Valentino. He's the last car in this very long DRS train, so you have to try to do everything to keep up with the rest of the field. The only upside for him, of course, is that there's a lot of cars ahead, so through the corners he can certainly gain, and then he's going to have to hope he can stay connected. Victor Widler, in the meanwhile, is trying to shake off Isaac Lead, and he's about to do so. He's got 8 tenths on the main straight, which is quite the gap on a track like this, where everybody is almost as fast as one another. So impressive stuff from him so far. Can he actually make it 2 wins in a row, putting himself on equal in the race wins with the 2 championship leaders, one of them being right behind him as it stands? Alex, Isaac Lead has actually become the championship leader because Gregory Pretsibel is having a nightmare on his hard tires at the moment in 14th.
Yeah, absolutely. Struggling down there. See what I could do in the latter stages of the race, but track position could be crucial here in Qatar, and Isaac Lee is looking really promising out there on the track, but Victor Ridley is trying to shake him off a little bit more. The gap is just hovering around 7 or 8 tenths per lap, but yeah, at the moment still in the DRS of Victor Widler is Isaac Leeds, and yeah, like I said, new championship leader if he does finish like this, but you never know what can happen. We've still got 24 laps to go, as I think Tudor Pressicon is struggling to stay in the DRS of the front two. I think they're both starting to push on.
Yep, he's actually now out of DRS range. The detection point is coming up very soon. Is he actually going to make it? I think he has actually made it. It's just barely good enough, though, for Tudor Pressicon. It's a big struggle for him so far. That might make him vulnerable from behind, with Ryan Mutler still in tow. As Steven Vaso fell backwards, we saw Victor Widler at the front going defensive or moving out of the main racing line for a little while to give himself some breathing room, even though he doesn't need it as he's a lead car. But Isaac Lee certainly had some breathing room. He didn't move in the slipstream of the Haas. He decided to stay on the racing line. And Tudor Pressicon, thanks to the DRS, has closed the gap back to within about half a second, not half a tenth, that would be crazy. Half a second at the moment, and doing quite well still, just barely hanging on. But it looks like from behind, Ryan Mutler is starting to put on some serious pressure. Wojtek Steg and Tom Roberts not too far behind either. So potentially, Tudor Pressicon could be in some trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. They've definitely closed in behind now. Is he struggling in this stage to keep with the front two, or is he just struggling overall? Let's find out if Modler can try and make that move. It's going to be tricky, though, in the DRS train. And yeah, the Kicksauber will have to be very, very close heading onto the back straight and have a bit of momentum coming out of the final corner. But yeah, lap number 6 out of 29. And at the front, it's been pretty calm and collected for Victor Widler. Had a bit of pressure on him on the last lap, though, as Isaac Lee, I think, they tried to push on a little bit more, let him know he's there. But as we head on to lap number 7, then, can Ryan Modler get close enough as Tom Roberts and Wojtek Steg all closing together slightly in that top 6? So let's see if anyone can make a move as Victor Widler just temporarily got that gap once again up to 8 tenths as we head into turn number 1. As yeah, he seems to be pushing on a few laps now, does Victor Widler, and trying to shake a few more attempts out of Isaac Leeds. But yeah, at the moment, both the Ferraris and Ryan Modler closing up to Tudor Pressicon, and it's still close between the 4.
Lucas Serra with the first track limit penalty of this race on lap 7, as he's also struggling to keep up with the top 10. He would love to score points on his debut, but it's starting to fade away from him a little bit by a little bit. Behind him, Cloud also struggling to stay within that 1 second limit, as he's starting to fall behind Aston Martin as well. I think it's already visible that some drivers might have burned up their tires already. And you can see the gap between Gregory and Daniel remaining stable at about 3 or 4 tenths of a second. Felipe Sousa also is very close to his teammate right there. So the Mercedes drivers are slowly starting to see their tires come to life compared to the medium tires, and they might want to find themselves a way through the field sooner rather than later. We're now about to enter lap 8, and that means the mediums are well past their prime, and things might start to swap into their favor. Once again, Victor Widler having created a big gap, so to say, quote-unquote big gap. 8 tenths of a second is huge on a track like this in this stage of the race on the main straight, but once again is getting closed up by Isaac Lee due to the simple thing that is called DRS out there. Ryan Modler for a moment very close to the McLaren of Tudor Pressicon right there, who is no longer falling out of DRS range. Looks like he managed to find some extra tire life in his mediums right there, so he's doing a good job of keeping up still. But yeah, this is basically the story as it is. A stable DRS train with no position swaps yet. We'll have to wait for that until the first and only round of pit stops.
Absolutely, but at this medium fast blowing circuit, and at the moment it is Victor Widler who is smashing it out front. And yeah, like I said, 8 tenths is absolutely huge on a circuit like Qatar. When heading onto that main straight, it's absolutely keeping Isaac Lee nowhere near the rear of that Haas. And yeah, once again, he's just it seems to be pushing one lap, then slightly backing off on another. So maybe just a bit of battery deployment method. But here we go once again. He's actually closing to a second, about a tenth and a half in it. But in the final sector, Isaac Lee needs to find just a bit more time, just to feel a bit more comfortable. But yeah, it'll be pit stops in around about 5 laps, I'm guessing, 5 or 6 laps. close to half race distance. You'll be trying to get on these medium compounder tyres. But yeah, we'll shortly find out as everyone gets that rearing open once again as we head down to turn 1 with the leader, Victor Widler, and at the back it's Valentino Labella back in the Alpine. So let's see what happens then in the pit stops. But yeah, still quite a way to go. 20 laps to go. And yeah, mediums with most at the minute.
Yep, and the big question of who has destroyed their tires already. It looks like through the corners, Victor is gaining a little bit on Isaac every single lap, and then on the straight, obviously he loses it. So it might be that Victor's tires are still a little bit more healthy than Isaac's, as Steven Vaso becomes the second driver with a 3-second time penalty. Not ideal after his disastrous race start. Let's have a little bit of a look once again at those position gains and losses. You can see there Campbell Adams after his collision and the first lap having lost 10 positions. That is very bad news indeed. Steven Vaso, same story as he got disconnected once again, losing 14 positions. He was definitely in contention for the podium, but it looks like once again it isn't meant to be. He's got the race pace and the qualifying pace for sure. He just really doesn't have the luck on his side in terms of internet connections and other issues. He's been absolutely plagued by them over the last few weeks. So I'm hoping for his sake that things are going to stabilize from here on outwards. We're now going to lap 10, and by the end of that lap we might potentially see the first drivers going to the pit lane, and those will be the drivers who have already destroyed their tires. And look at that, I believe in the background I saw Cloud being the first to answer the call of the pit stops. Same goes for Campbell Adams and Steven Vaso as well. They're the first 3 to go and try the undercut. However, I can tell you from what I've seen yesterday that the undercut isn't as powerful on this track as you would think. So that is going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. A track that is very, very simple in a way in these cars with very high speed corners and yeah, very little heavy braking zones. And the average speed being so high lap on lap, it is going to be very tricky to gain that time doing the undercut. But let's see if it works for them. And yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on also both the Mercedes of Gregory Prigibel and Felipe Sousa, then Valentino Labella, all at the back going for the hard stint. What have you seen?
Yeah, something happened with Valentino. He's going slow. I think he went off again. Hasn't he?
I'm not sure. He's lost 3 seconds, so something must have happened. As he's fell from to the back, and that's really going to affect not just his strategy, but his outcome of the whole race. And yeah, that could be a huge, huge mistake there for the Alpine.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he's on 9-lap-old hard tires. He decided to opt for the different sort of strategy. And that means he's now in serious trouble. He's going to have to make those hard tires last a little bit longer. Now, from the podium positions, in goes to the Presican alongside several other drivers, including Tom Roberts. I think, yeah, it's Ryan Modler in there as well. Valentino Labella goes past, as you can see. Lucas Serra has come in for his one and only pit stop too. That's interesting to see to the Presican trying to attempt the undercut. It's not strong, as I said, but 1 second could well be enough to gain the race lead on the other 2. He's certainly going to try it. He knows Cloud is now on the main straight, but he's not going to be close enough to even try and make it to the podium places. Can he overtake Lucas Serra, though, on track? There is the Aston Martin against the Williams in turn 1, and he swoops around the outside. Cloud does into 15th place ahead of the Aston Martin. So just barely good enough for him to make the overtake work on him right there. They were fighting for 11th position, and now Cloud has got the upper hand simply due to pitting 1 lap earlier. But the undercut margin, as you can see right there, is quite small.
Yeah, as Lucas Serra picks up another 3-second time penalty to make it 6 in his debut race here in F3, and it's a shame because, I mean, he's driven quite well remotely from the start, apart from those penalties. And yeah, it might be crucial for Cloud to get through, as I did see Lucas Serra start to struggle, and it was slowly backing off from Aaron Minguez in the top pack. So yeah, might be a good thing for Cloud to get through in the pit stops, have that extra lap of hard tyres. But at the moment then, it's Victor Widler, race leader, then Isaac Leeds into the pit lane, and that'll be to cover off Tudor Presican, who's chasing now, heading through just about the final corner.
Yep, let's see what he can do. There he is in the final corner, watching him live right now. It's Isaac Lead and Victor Whittler. They swapped positions in the pit lane. Look at that. Victor Whittler's had a slower pit stop. That's cost him dearly. He's potentially lost the race lead, and there's Tudor Presican. He's got more speed in turn 1. Can he swoop around the outside the Williams? Yes, he can. With the undercut, it has absolutely worked in his favor. Same goes for Ryan Mutler. He's managed to squeeze himself in between Isaac Lead and Victor Whittler. And now things are going to be interesting. With only 1 lap tire difference, the gains aren't that huge for those who pitted 1 lap later, but it's definitely great and fantastic news for Tudor Presican, who's gained the race lead from the undercut, which wasn't meant to be as powerful, but there it is. Good enough for him to potentially go for the race win. Tom Roberts now fighting with Victor Whittler for position, 10th and 11th at the moment, side by side there for the Ferrari and the Haas, as they try to give each other some respectful space. And who's gonna come off best? They're still side by side, and somehow Tom Roberts manages to squeeze past on his slightly 1 lap older tires with a bit more temperature. It's worked in his favor as well, as now Victor Whittler from the race lead, potentially all the way down to P4 after everybody else is pitted.
Nightmare for Victor Whittler. I wonder what happened then in the pit lane. But yeah, just a slower stop, and that's allowed Isaac Lee to get ahead. But also, Tudor Presican, it might be worth it there to have a shot at the race win. And let's see what he can do in this final stint to hold off the cars behind. He's gained 9/10 of a second, though, to Isaac Lee. So let's see what he can do to cut down that time and try and make that move. But as we head down the start-finish straight once again, it is Tudor Presican in that net race lead, Isaac Leet in P2, and Ryan Modler in the provisional podium. Then it's Tom Roberts and Victor Whittler, who is all the way down in provisional P5 after that poor outlap. But yeah, interesting. But Tudor Presican has absolutely nailed it.
It's fantastic, yeah, brilliant to see. More interesting is the fact that Camille Sakura has decided to still carry on those ancient medium tires. Gregory and Felipe, as well as Valentino, have gained on him massively over the last 2 laps because, of course, his tires are pretty much dead by this point. On the plus side, though, he will have the freshest hard tires by the time they all pit for their sets. Of course, Gregory and Felipe will be on the mediums. Same goes for Valentino Labella, but he's too far behind to have any meaningful role in the race win, as Lucas gets another 3-second time penalty. That's the 2nd lap in a row he gets it, and Camille comes in right now to ditch his mediums, go for the hards, and then move all the way until the end of the race. But he will be a bit further behind in the pack than he probably would have liked. It's going to be a challenge to get through. He's started from 10th. Let's see if he can still come out somewhere around that position as he takes on the hard tires right now. It's the race leader, the soon-to-be race leader, so to say, Tudor Presican on the main straight at the moment. And we're going to see Camille Sakura is now about to exit it. His teammate has gone past already. A lot of other cars are passing as well. It's definitely not going to be P10, but of course 3 cars still have to pit. And that is Lucas Serra trying to go around the outside. They nearly came together right there. Lucas having to go wide, and immediately Camille Sakura all over the back of him. Can he already get that position back? He doesn't want to be stuck behind somebody who's got 9 seconds of penalties behind his name already. He wants to move as soon as he can with the fresher tires, but for now though, he has to wait until the DRS hits him, and that might be a challenge to get past by that point.
Oh, yeah, frustrating then for Camille, who's stuck behind Sarah as we head through the middle sector once again. But let's see when he can make the move, if he can actually make the move. And let's see if Lucas can try and push on to deny him that move. But yeah, the kick Sauber, that could have been a crucial move to get past and try and make a few moves in this race on the 3-lap fresher tyres. At the moment, we've still got the 3 out front of Valentino Labella, Felipe Sousa and Gregory Pujibel, who are all starting, or who all did start on the harder compound tyres. 14-lap hold for them. And when are they going to come into the pit lane? Probably in the next lap or two. So let's see where they come out and what they can do in the final stint on the mediums. But yes, we already know it's tricky to overtake. So it's going to be tricky for them to make up moves and make up what they need to get some points in this race. But let's see if they can do it, as we have Campbell Adams, who's retiring from the race, and so has Stephen Basso so far.
Looks like Tom and Victor have decided that overtaking should definitely be possible because they were very close together. Tom Roberts was very close in the tail of Ryan, and now Ryan is very close in the tail of Isaac Leet. And look at that, Victor Whittler has nearly decided to go for it in a place where I usually do not go for an overtake. He wants the position back from the Ferrari. He wants to get closer again to the race win. For now, he's still behind, but look at that, on the brakes a little bit later, causing him to get even closer to Tom Roberts. He's definitely feeling the pressure once again. Unlike last week, this time it's Tom Roberts out in front after the first round of pit stops, but just barely. It looks like Victor Whittler is trying to force the Ferrari into a mistake by braking as late as he possibly can without hitting the Ferrari. Once again, later on the brakes through the corner again as he's trying to push him all the way onwards. Wojtek Steg, the other Ferrari, sitting in the shadows of these two drivers for the time being. It's going to be an exciting one between these two. Victor Whittler having been pipped in the pit lane and now by several other drivers as well. Probably not a very happy man in that position at the moment. The three drivers at the front of the field still going on. They'll be hoping for a safety car, of course, because that will definitely help their race as they can swap on the mediums and still be in front of the rest. But that is probably wishful thinking because the DRS train carries on for another lap. Victor Whittler still awfully close, but not close enough to go for a move. Tom Roberts, as per usual, moves out of the slipstream to cool his tires and engines for a little while. And that is how it is.
Victor Whittler, we know he's got that one lap pace from qualifying. We know how he can lead out front, but can he get that little extra ounce of pace to make that move on that scarlet red Ferrari up ahead of Tom Roberts and try and challenge for the podium at least? But at the moment, Tudor Prescan has done a really solid job so far to do the undercut and stay where he is in that net race lead and holding off Isaac Leet by about 6.5 tenths of a second. And yeah, net championship leader as it stands is Isaac Leet after Gregory Pschiebel comes into the pit lane. But yeah, it was a poor race from him so far. But let's see if somehow this strategy can work out for the Mercedes. He had to go for something different after qualifying. So yes, let's see what pace he's got on the medium compound tyres when he comes in to stop. Any moment now, really, as there is Felipe Sousa coming to stop in the Mercedes. So I'm guessing Gregory Pschiebel will stop on the next lap, and Valentino Labella also slots in behind Felipe Sousa into the pit boxes for mediums to the end. And yeah, let's see how it pays out.
Camille Stacuri going a little bit wide. He's been harassing Cloud all lap long. He's gotten past Lucas Serra already, and he's definitely putting some serious pressure on the Williams next. But thanks to the bad exit out the final corner and going too wide, he's lost a whole lot of time. Now much further behind than he would have liked. I think he wanted to mount an attack. Got to the power a little bit too early, and that's cost him dearly. He nearly got overtaken again by Lucas Serra, but for now, though, he's once again giving chase. Now, Felipe Sousa and Valentino Labella on the fresh medium tires. Let's see how quickly they can close the gap to this huge train of cars. And then let's see how quickly they can overtake all of them, as only Gregory Pschiebel is still going out there. And he will have the freshest and fastest tires of the lot by the time he comes in. It's the only option he has to potentially fight back in the championship. He knows it's still in his hands, but it's going to be a difficult one indeed. What's happened there? Oh, somebody's gone off. That's Camille Stacura, isn't it?
Yeah, I just went into the wall. I'm not sure how, but it was just... wow, I've never seen the like at turn number 10 there. But yeah, it just went way too deep into the gravel and skirted right into the boards. And yeah, that's Camille out of any sort of contention. There's wing damage for the Kick Sauber, and it's race over for Stacura.
That's a shame. I think he might have been a little bit too eager in overtaking Cloud as he decides to destroy some boards here and there out of frustration. And just like Campbell Adams and Stephen Vasel, he might become the third driver to retire in the pit lane due to no longer believing that this race has anything to offer for him. There he goes. In he goes. Let's see what he does. Yeah, that's definitely a sign of a driver retiring in the pit lane, and he does so indeed. 3 drivers out then. 15 remain. 5 out of the points at the moment, all the way down to Valentino Labella from Lucas Serra downwards. Daniel Kaya and Raminguez, Felipe Sousa, of course, the 2 last drivers having fresh mediums, and Felipe is rapidly approaching all of those drivers on the older hard tires. This might be his opportunity to shine a little bit and potentially score some points. In the meanwhile, his teammate Gregory Pschiebel is still going around on the very old hard tires. And if he doesn't come in by the end of this lap, it's going to be very difficult to catch up to the rest of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a struggle as well to get past Felipe Sousa. And I think he will still come out ahead of Valentino Labella. So let's see what happens now as he does come into the pit lane down to 80 kilometers per hour. Let's see what he can do on these medium tyres. As Felipe Sousa is already back in the train as we head on to lap number 20 then. But yeah, it's going to be interesting now. Let's see if he can catch back up to the pack and also make some moves and try and score some points out of this race. But you never know, it could work. You've seen how quick Felipe Sousa was able to catch up to the pack. But yeah, catching is one thing and overtaking is another. Let's see if he can do it as lap 19 is underway. He's coming out the pit lane just behind Felipe Sousa, and the gap's around 2.2 seconds. So I think he can close in relatively easy, but it's all about making moves on the other medium runner and the rest of the top 12 and the DRS train. Felipe Sousa is chasing and just under 4 tenths behind.
Yeah, let's go on board with the Mercedes right here. He goes a bit wide out of turn 5. Having a bit of trouble with the dirty air as we speak. Look at that, the corner exits are definitely what benefit him, as he's already trying to go alongside Aaron Raminges. Aaron simply doesn't have the grip, and he almost literally lets him through, and up into P12 he goes. Gregory Percival has also already connected to the back of the field thanks to Felipe Sousa's move. The both of them were a bit slower through the corner. It's definitely helped our shared championship leader to get back within DRS range already. I was already surprised he was this close to the rest of the pack when he came out of the pit lane. So it looks like he's gonna have a bit easier time getting through this field than Felipe has. He's now trying to get closer to Daniel Kyer, who in his turn is getting awfully close to Lucas Terra, just ahead of them. Clouds, you can see right there, is struggling to keep up with Zalan Bieder in P8, so he might be in trouble from behind as well. But Felipe Sousa has to wait on the straight. You can see there, Daniel Kyer gaining and moving away from the Mercedes right there with just a little bit more straight line speed. And then there you can see Lucas Serra going a little bit wide from the onboard view of Felipe Sousa as the fight is getting properly heated right there. Now, next up, Daniel Kyer to be under pressure. Is he going to go defensive? Yes, he is. He's moving a little bit to the inside. Felipe Sousa, therefore, can't find a way past. Up next, then, another opportunity into the semi-hairpin. Is he going to make it? No, he's just gotten a too poor of an exit to make any move. A bit further back is Gregory Percival now all over the back of Aaron Raminges. We've got to keep an eye on the both of them to see how fast they can move. And Aaron Raminges once again in the exact same corner where Felipe did it. It's just no match for the Mercedes, and up he goes. Now he's right behind Felipe. Will they swap positions to let Gregory through for the championship? We'll see.
It's hotting up. It's absolutely hotting up. It's still stuck behind Daniel Kyer. It's Felipe Sousa as we head around the final sector now. Can Felipe find that Mercedes ahead of the V-Carb? I mean, it's going to be a tricky job as Daniel Kyer is not going to back down without a really good fight. As we head into the final corner, he's looking to the inside line of the V-Carb. It is a silver arrow, and can he puncture the hearts of the V-Carb? Is going wide there was Lucas Serra, who struggled slightly on his debut, not for pace, but with track limits and a few mistakes like that, and that's allowed. Here comes Daniel Kyer making the move to the inside line. Can also Felipe Sousa try and follow through at turn number 1 with flying through to turn number 2. Now it's closing between the pair, but here comes Gregory Percival on the exit. He finds the inside of his teammate and he easily makes the move. But here comes once again and down to turn number 4. He makes a move down the inside of Lucas Serra. Not 1 but 2. Gregory Percival, and this could be really, really solid for his championship. If he keeps making moves like this, he could be on to score some solid points. 2 moves in 2 corners, and Gregory Percival up to P11, now chasing Daniel Kyer.
Yep, it was Lucas Serra going wide. That set off a chain reaction of events, basically allowing Gregory to move through the field like a hot knife through butter, which looks like he'll be quite delighted to do so indeed. Felipe Sousa once again now moving past Lucas Serra as well, up to P12, trying to give chase to his teammate, but he's barely within DRS range anymore. So, how high will Gregory Percival end? Let us know in the chat your predictions. How many more cars he's going to overtake? Can he even enter the podium? Question mark. with the end of lap 21 approaching fast right now. He's now the next car behind Daniel Kaya as Lucas Serra gets another 3-second time penalties. By now, he's racked up 15 of them, and I feel like he's getting awfully close to disqualification. But back, though, to the action in hand. Gregory very close to the RB of Daniel. Daniel knows that Gregory is going to potentially make short work of him through the corners as he gets awfully close once again. He's got to make the move here, as otherwise his tires will get potentially too old to cut through the field as quick as he does right now. And there we go. Then, of course, Daniel's going to go defensive and nearly forcing Gregory to go around the outside. Is he finding a way on the inside? Yes, he does! Brilliant move there by your shared championship leader. And next up is Isaac Leeds' teammate, Cloud, who's probably going to make his life even more difficult because, of course, he wants to help his teammate out there for the championship. Isaac Leeds in second place, still giving chase to Tudor Pressican. And now Gregory Principal is going to try and take this second Williams to go into P9. He's already scoring 1 point, and he'll be delighted to see that happening after starting 11th on the grid. He's now up, and he's going to score some points at the very least. But how many more is he going to try and take from the rest? We'll find out.
Pajiba, what a move at turn number 4 and turn number 5. A good old up and under and places the car exactly where it needs to be. Can he do it again, though, on Cloud and Zalan Bida up ahead too as we head on to lap number 22. It's Tudor Pressican who is leading the race, but we've got the chasing medium runners of both the Mercedes of Felipe Sousa and Gregory Pajiba as coming to the pit lane there was Lucas Serra, and I'm presuming that's to retire from the race. It is, and that's debut over for Serra in F3. And yeah, I mean, he's definitely had the pace to fight with the guys, but just too many mistakes, too many time penalties, and that's just lost him any sort of contention. But focus back on Gregory Pajiba, who's chasing Cloud. He cannot let these tyres get too old, as that will really affect him trying to make a move as easy as he has been. But so far, can he try and force the Mercedes through here at turn number 5? It's close between the pairs. We get to the inside line with Gregory Pajiba once again. He does find a way. When there's a will, there's a way. The Mercedes gets through and up to double his points into P9.
Yeah, it just shows why he's the championship leader. I mean, decisive moves at the moment when he thinks it's best to make them. It always works out in his favor, which is, of course, brilliant. Patient and decisive, the two key words for trying to fight for a championship. With Felipe Sousa, the other medium user, now having a 3-second time penalty to his name, has just halted his own advance by a simple mere 3 seconds, which is a big shame. He's not getting as quick through the field as his teammate does, but he's still all over the back of Daniel Kaya. But Gregory Principal is much closer to the other RB of Zalan Bida. And then it's Boba and Wojtek Steg, and then he'll be in the top 6, which is what 3.0, I believe, in the chat is predicting for this man. Trying to minimize the damage to his shared championship leader. Once again, in turn 1, he's a bit further behind, but look at that. The optimal grip still for the mediums working in his favor. And I think he might go for another move in the familiar corner that he's done so many times already. But this time he's a bit too far away to make it work, or is it? He's using battery. He's trying to make Zalan force into a mistake. It doesn't work just yet. So then on the inside perhaps of the next corner. No, once again, the dirty air not playing him any favors whatsoever. Then look at that, how close he's gotten, nearly in the gearbox of the RB. So perhaps then another move. No. Yes, he does. He's going with a big dive, nearly losing control of the car, but he does move ahead once again up into P8, still within DRS range of the next car. We're on lap 24. If he overtakes one car every single lap, he might actually go to the podium at this rate.
Flying, absolutely flying is Gregory Pajiba. Next up is Boba up ahead in the Red Bull. The gap 7/10 and P7 up for grabs. Can he do it? 5 laps to go. He's climbing through the order relatively easy. His teammates struggled, and Felipe Sousa is still, his advancements have been halted by Daniel Kaya for P11, and that 3-second time penalty took him well out of contention as well. But Gregory Pajiba showing him how it's done as he gets that rear wing open like everybody else does throughout the order, apart from Valentino Libella at the back. But as we head on to lap number 25, can he close in? When are these tyres going to slightly fade out? Because that might just be it, and any sort of advancements will be over for Gregory Pajiba. As soon as those tyres start to wear a little bit more, he might just get stuck behind Boba. But at the minute, he's making moves very easily, making them look very easy. And he's doing a fantastic job out there to make every lap just perfect to make these moves. He closes up to the gearbox once again of Boba. Let's see where he can try and pounce and make this move on the Red Bull to take P7.
He is currently on his way to become a strong driver of the day material. That's a fact. We're not paying much attention to the battle for the lead, I know, because right there, not much is happening at the moment. It will probably only happen on the final or maybe the penultimate lap of the race, when we'll have to swap our attention between that and this battle of Gregor Precibel slicing his way through the field. However, Boba appears to be a bigger challenge now that the higher we go in the list of drivers, the faster they are, and the older the tires, of course, get of Precibel's car. And now through the final corner. Wow, he nearly went for a dive at the last corner right there, trying to make Boba go wide. Didn't work just yet, but now he's gonna have the DRS. He's right under the wing of the car ahead, which means he might want to make a move in turn 1 or maybe even turn... Wow, what a humongous dive bomb, and there he goes, catching Boba by an entire surprise and a half, as up he moves into P7, another position gained. Next up, Wojtek Steg. He's still up for the top 6 prediction, and who knows how far he can go up from there. He still has got his rival inside. Isaac Lead is only a few seconds up ahead, and it looks like Wojtek Steg is not that far behind. Is he gonna go for another dive? No, he's still too far away, but now he's getting close again. If he's within 0.2 or 0.3 of a second even, the man just goes for it and makes it work.
Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal placement on that car. He's so confident with those medium compound and in his own skill as well. I mean, it's phenomenal to see him do this lap on lap. Those mediums fading away at this stage, but still making every ounce count. As wow, I can't believe he's made this strategy work. Up to P7 now. Definitely driver of the day contender, if not driver of the day out there on track. If anything happens in this last 3 laps, I mean, anything can happen. He needs to pick up the scraps of the cars ahead if any sort of battles occur on the final lap, but he also needs to try and make these moves to get into that top 5 as we head on to lap number 27. It's Tudor Prescan who leads, and we've got a fantastic cut through the pack from Gregory Pagibel up to P7 after a miserable first stint, miserable qualifying, went onto the hard mediums, and he's making it absolutely work in his favour compared to the rest of drivers out there. Next up is Wojtek Steg. The gap 3 and a bit tenths, struggling to close in like he has been able to, but at the moment it's looking possible.
It's becoming a bit more difficult. We saw him going a little bit wide out of the final corner. He certainly missed the apex, and he might have just picked up a warning right there for going too much on the inside of the corner. But through here, this turn is his favorite, the hairpin of turn 5/6. I just can't remember the corner numbers, but forgive me on that one, please. But Gregory Precibel, yeah, absolutely nailing it still, left, right, and center. And ahead of him, some more pressure is applied to other drivers as well. Valentino Labella with a 3-second time penalty. He's at least closed up to the group, but point scoring is now going to be pretty much impossible at the back of the field with medium tires that are no longer as fresh as they were at the start of the stint. And only 2 and a bit laps to go. For this man too, means Gregor Precibel might actually finish P6 at best. The podium is looking ever farther away, but no, nonetheless, his stint has been very impressive indeed. Let's see if he can close it again. This time he does hit the apex properly as he goes right out of the final corner for the 27th time. Now on lap 28, the gap increasing a little bit to the next car, Wojtek Steg, trying to close the gap to Tom Roberts, and in the meanwhile, the fight for the lead has actually properly started, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely out front. Isaac Lee is putting the pressure on the race. Is this going to be a final lap shootout between Isaac Lee and Tudor Prescan? Who's going to come out on top as we head on the penultimate tour of the circuit with the McLaren out front on the 1 lap older tyres? And at the moment, any progress has been halted for Gregor Pagibel. He's struggling to make a move on Wojtek Steg. I think the tyres might have just faded away a little bit too much, as he can't get close enough to nudge that Mercedes down the inside and take the move on Wojtek Steg. P7 is still great advancements on this strategy as well. So yeah, strong drive from Gregory Pagibel as we head through the middle sector once again. Isaac Lee versus Tudor Prescan. Who's going to come out on top as we head to the final sector for the penultimate time of the race? The Mercedes is, the McLaren, is out front. And it's the Williams in P2 and the soon-to-be championship leader, Isaac Lee. Can he take maximum points here in Qatar? Final lap. Let's do this.
off we go on the main straight for the final time all the way through to turn 1. Isaac is 0.6 of a second back. He had a little bit of a go on the previous lap, couldn't get past, but he would probably want to prefer the DRS. As you can see, Tudor Presican going defensive. Ryan Modler is still there as well. There he goes into turn 1 at the inside. Tudor Presican carrying just a little bit more speed. Can he hold it around the outside and now the inside of the Williams? Yes, he does once again. Fending off Isaac Lead for the lead of the race. Ryan Modler hanging around on the back of them, still in 3rd position, and Isaac Lead is trying to put on all the pressure he can to the McLaren, the race leader, who managed to simply put off an undercut and therefore gaining the race lead from both Isaac and Victor. Victor not only down in P5, the podium is no longer possible, and alas, these 3 drivers will collide, which is looking ever more unlikely. We're now in Sector 2. Isaac Lead is slowly losing chances to go for the move. He's too far back anyways to make a dive into any corner whatsoever. So it looks like Tudor Presican might have it under control. Soon the end of the 2nd sector will hit. What more does Isaac Lead have left in his tank? Does he perhaps have an ERS to burn to the final corner? Maybe go for a dive right there. How much risk is he willing to take? There's a championship on his hands. He might just want to settle for 2nd place to gain the 10 points that he wanted to get over Gregory Principal to take the championship lead. Gregory still in 7th, can no longer make the move, and there we go. For the final time, round the final corner, it looks like purely on strategy. It is going to be Tudor Presican to gain the race victory out there. Isaac Lead will have to settle for 2nd, but he'll be delighted to know he's the new championship leader from Gregory Principal. Ryan Modler finishes off your podium place, finishes right there, and soon you'll hear the rest from us when we see them.
What a strategy from Tudor Presican, who wins the race in Qatar, and that was just perfect from him. I think driver of the day has got to be Gregory Principal for making those moves and going for the offset strategy as well. But yeah, what a win for Tudor Presican, who takes it here in Qatar. Isaac Lead, new championship leader, then finishes P2 with that final lap challenge, just couldn't nudge that Williams ahead. It's Ryan Modler in P3 on the final podium place. He's done a great job out there on track today from P5 on the grid. Tom Roberts from P9 up to P4 and a good race for Ferrari. Victor Widler up into P5 and he's not going to be happy with how it panned out in the pit lane from him. He could have been on for a race win after pole position, but only P5 today. Wojtek Steg takes P6. It's Gregory Principal with that fight back drive in the final few laps in the final stint. Up to P7, it's Boba in P8 and it's Salan Bida in P9. Cloud takes P10 and it's Daniel in P11. Aaron Minguez, then it's Felipe Sousa, then Valentino Labella down in P14 for your final classified finishes. Then it's Lucas Serra, Camille Satura and Campbell Adams and Steven Vasso, who didn't finish the race in the end. But yeah, perfect race for Tudor Presican.
Yep, nailed the strategy. There's no other way of putting it. And Victor will be ruining tonight's race. He was having it all under control in the first stint. Lost it in the pit lane already. I'm not entirely sure what happened right there. Maybe Isaac can give us some insight, as I've just tagged the top 3 drivers for an interview. Ryan Modler already confirming he'll be joining us soon in the commentary box to give us an insight on his race for 3rd place on this Grand Prix. As you will now once again see our faces out here. Hello. Let's see if Ryan will be up to join us very soon. He's the only one having confirmed it so far. And there he is. I think, Alex, let's just drag him in here and bombard him with questions. There we go. Ryan Modler, there you are. 3rd position tonight. It was an interesting race to say the least. And I feel like it's safe to say, Ryan, that strategy was 99% of tonight's race, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, I didn't have any practice tonight, so I didn't knew what I should expect tonight. So I just went in when I felt like it. I knew the tire wear was quite good. So yeah, I went in at lap 10, I think, together with Tudor. And I think that this was also the only time where my race was interesting. We had to push for 1 lap to make the undercut work. Unfortunately, my out lap was like 2-3 tenths too slow, so Isaac got me in the end. Which obviously lost me the chance to fight for the win, but I mean, like I said, no practice, another P3 after last week, so I'm happy.
That's actually great to hear. Overtaking on a track, it's extraordinarily difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is difficult on every track if you're not P1 and P2. I think even Isaac was struggling tonight to even get the chance to overtake Tudor. So, yeah, I mean, it's part of the game. It's nothing new.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little unfortunate. Although, I have to say, had you started on the hards, did you think things might have been different?
Ah, no. I will never overcut on this game. I will always undercut.
All right. Alex, anything from you you'd like to ask?
Well, at the moment, I think you jump up to P3 in the standings as well, closing up to the front two. What's going through your head heading to the final 5 rounds of the season after 2 back-to-back podiums?
Nothing really, I would say. I mean, it's a good season, I would say. Not too special, especially after my Imola race. Obviously, things would look different if I would have scored points there. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how the standings are looking like. And yeah, I mean, I have no target. Obviously, I want to win, but I know it's going to be hard. So I'll try to finish as high as possible.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ryan, and enjoy 3rd place.
Thank you. Thanks for commentating.
You're very welcome. All right. It looks like, Alex, unfortunately, we'll not hear from our top 2.
That's sad. I wanted to hear what they're saying. And from new championship leader as well, Isaac Lee at the top.
Oh, never mind.
But yeah. Oh.
As I say that, the race
Great.
winner just joined the waiting room. Yay! So we'll drag him in here as well, and let's see what he's got to say on tonight's race. Tudor, first and foremost, welcome. I hope you can hear us, and I hope we can hear you as well. Let's see there.
I can hear you guys.
Excellent, and we can hear you too. Wonderful. Congratulations. I mean, on strategy, you've managed to do it, and I think that was the key, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. I mean, the strat was perfectly done. We thought that people would box like much earlier than they actually did, like lap 8, lap 9, but they went for more. And in the first stint, I was just kind of keeping that 8/10 gap, as you saw, 9/10, just to manage my tires and then like cover an undercut if they do it. But in the end, it was the opposite case. I was the one doing the undercut. And yeah, it paid off really well. Like I managed my tires really good. I was pushing and still had like less tire wear, I think, than the car behind. So yeah, perfectly done.
Yeah, and then of course you had to defend the final 2 laps against Isaac Lead. How did you approach the defense there?
To be honest, I didn't expect an attack in the last lap in the first corner, but it was pretty close. So yeah, I was just trying to recover my ERS, because I didn't have too much. I think I had like 60, 70 for the last lap, but it was okay. It was fine,
Yeah, and there you are then, a race winner here in Qatar. Alex, anything from you you'd like to ask?
I mean, qualifying was close. I mean, did you knew coming into the race that it was going to be hard to overtake as well, but was it always planned in your head that you was going to go for an undercut?
No. Like the quali was really messed up. I had screen freezes and a bit of lag, but I managed to make up one position at the start, which was really crucial for the race. And I didn't think of doing an undercut. I was rather going for an overcut, but people just went longer. So yeah, I had to do the undercut.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the final few laps, what was the grip like compared to? I mean, the extra lap. I mean, it can't have made too much of a difference, but did you feel it?
I kind of felt it as soon as I hit the 60%. But it's a C1, so the tire is really constant.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's all from me. But well done on a win, and fantastic drive.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Cheers. All right, that was our race winner. Unfortunately, Isaac hasn't joined us, while Ryan is asking in the chat his tire wear. 72% apparently just answered by Tudor. So very close to puncture territory. So it must have been a nail-biting final few laps, hoping it wouldn't go over the threshold and puncturing immediately. That's always a risk you run on a game like this. But I think, Alex, that's it for tonight. Interesting race with those on the hard to medium strategy just cutting through the field. It just wasn't good enough by the end. But I think it actually really wasn't ever to be, starting from 11th to go to the podium from there, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Limited overtaking, but yeah, the strategy did work out in the end for Gregory. But yeah, it were close, but obviously the tyre wedge doesn't last that long enough to gain into the top 5 positions there. But yeah, it was definitely worth a punt to grab a few points in the race, and yeah, well worked for himself to grab a few and reduce the loss that it would have been to Isaac, who's now the new championship leader.
Yep, which allows us to have one more look at the calendar before we say our goodbyes. I believe up next is a break week. Indeed it is, in the final week of August. We will not have any races for F2 downwards. But then up next we'll be going to Texas, another brilliant track. The circuit of the Americas always provide for some good racing. Then Japan, Las Vegas, Brazil and Mexico to round out the season by the start of October. So still a lot of races. 5 more to go for the championship to change once again. Now Isaac Lead is your leader, but who knows how things will look like next time round when Texas is all over. For now, though, thank you from both Alex and me for joining us once again here in the F3 race. Qatar was a brilliant one, unexpectedly exciting, I have to say. I was afraid it would have been a bit of a DRS train all throughout, but it just wasn't, because we had some drivers opting for a different sort of strategy. So, yeah, that's all. Alex, any last words from you?
No, it's been great to be back in PSGL and with yourself, so appreciate it in the commentary booth.
Absolutely a big pleasure, and we'll hopefully see each other in 2 weeks' time. Who knows what's going to happen by then. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time, same place, same time. Make sure to tune in, by the way, to either F2 or F4, which are about to start their races very soon indeed. And until then, goodbye.